Hey there, YouTube land. Christopher Walker here again. Excuse me. And I'm going to do another movie review. But first, I would like to give a few kind words to one of my personal favorite YouTubers. Uh, not sorry, but he helped me with my collecting and helped me find new movies that I haven't heard of before, and including this one that I'm going to review today, which incidentally my dad owned. But his name is Aaron Pynn. I've talked about him before. He's just such a nice guy. There are 3 or 4 YouTubers out there that helped me want to collect movies, and Aaron Pynn is one of those guys. Just such a great YouTuber. The stuff he does is just, it's great. It's great stuff. If you like what I do on my channel, you gotta check him out. Do yourself a favor and check him out. It's great stuff. I'll put a link to his channel in the description thing. And yeah, YouTube and Aaron, this review is for you. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this, but this is the best black and white movie ever made to me, and that is The Night of the Hunter. If you're talking in the background, my mom, she's on meeting. But The Night of the Hunter. This is the old MGM. And I actually really like this cover art. I don't know why, but I really like it. It's mysterious and scary. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, Christopher, this is a crime film. It's a film noir. No, it's not. It's a horror movie. This is a horror movie if I ever saw one. And I will get into reasons why it's a horror film. But the plot of this one is, excuse me, the plot of this one is pretty much Robert Mitchum plays a preacher named Harry Powell, and the reason why I did that is because he's not really a preacher. He's pretty much a psychotic serial killer who kills women, and he's been going across the country, and he's been slaying women. And one day, this bank robber, played by a very young Peter Graves from Mission Impossible: The Winds of War, and he comes home to his children, and he tells them not to tell anyone, because he's a bank robber, so he tells them not to tell anyone where the money's hid. So his 2 children promise to tell no one, not even their mother, played by Shelley Winters. And so he gets taken away to prison. And meanwhile, Robert Mitchum's in this club and watching this dancer dance, and he's all like, he has love and hate tattooed on his knuckles, as you can see right there. And his hate hand sort of reaches into the pocket, and you can see the blade of the knife come out of the pocket. And I thought that was a very cool sequence. But so then the cops come in. They arrest him for having a stolen car, or is it stolen? Yeah, it must have been stolen, or is it an impound or something like that. And so he goes to prison, and incidentally, he's in the same cell as Peter Graves, and Harry overhears Peter Graves' character mumbling about the money, and he comes down, and he's all like, he wants the $10,000 that he's talking about. He's like, oh, where's the money? I could put it to God's use, and I could help your children, and help your wife, help your town. And Peter Graves ain't taking none of that. He's like, yeah, whatever. But so Harry gets out of prison, and Peter Graves pretty much has to die for what he did, because he killed 2 people in the process during the bank robbery. So Harry Powell gets released and goes to the town, and he gets married to the recently widowed Shelley Winters, and he pretty much tries to find the money through the kids, and he's constantly and I like the way he does this. He's constantly trying to get the money, get the secret out of the kids. Where's the freaking money hid? And he does it with such subtlety. But you, the audience, know what he is doing, and that's really cool. And that's the plot of the movie. He just goes back to the town, and he wants that money. He wants that money. Um, this is a freaking masterpiece. It was the only film directed by Charles Lawton, who was also in Island of Lost Souls, which is a pre-code 1932 horror film, the first sort of Dr. Moreau type film, and hands down the finest performance Robert Mitchum's ever given. Easily his best performance. Also, Shelley Winter stars in this one. Lillian Gish. I'm not sure who plays the two kids, John and Pearl, but they do a fantastic job. I might even argue they're two of the best child actors, especially the kid who plays John. Two of the best child actors ever because they seem like children, and that to me it was really great. And that's all I'm gonna say. If you haven't seen this movie, go out, buy it, and come back to review because I'm going smack into spoiler territory now. I was going to discuss some of my favorite scenes, and then as well as why this is a horror movie instead of a film noir. Some of my favorite scenes are when Harry's driving in the car on the way to or what was it? I think it's at the beginning of the movie. He's not driving on the way to the town. It's at the beginning of the film where he's like, God, what will you have for me today? Another widow? Yeah, I know, your books are full of killings. I know you don't mind the killings. Just trying to do your work, Lord. And he's like, I know you hate so shiny things. Or something to that effect, and it's a very great scene, and he's talking about the Bible and stuff, and you can tell he's absolutely just flipped. He's a freaking nutcase. But another great scene is when he's what is it? Another great scene. It's probably the part when what is it? When they're all sitting at the dinner table, and two kids are on the other side. Robert Mitchum's on the other side, and he's like, "Look at all this: chicken, cornbread, apple cobbler." The little girl, Pearl's like, "Can I have my dinner?" He's like, "Naturally." Um, you know, he's like, "Hey, want to see something cute?" Pulls out a switchblade or a flip knife and presses the button. The blade comes out. And she walks over and she tries to touch it. And he's like, don't you touch my knife. That makes me very, very mad. And he's like, just tell me, where's the money hid? And she's like, but John told me. And Robert jumps like, John doesn't matter. It's like hitting the table. And the girl begins to cry, and he's like, can I get that through your head, you poor, sick, disgusting little wretch? I laugh so hard at that every time. I know how rude that must sound, but it's just so freaking funny. But it's such a great scene. And then he's like, there, see what you did? You made me lose my temper. And he says it like this really reassuring voice. And he's like, now just tell me where the money hid. Where's the money hid? And John's like, it's hidden in a rock under the floorboards in the cellar. He's like, alright, you're gonna go down there with me. And it will go hard, boy, if I find out you're lying. And he's like, I'm not lying. So they go down to the cellar, and he's like, it turns out that Robert Mitchum, like, sits in it, and it turns out that they can't find it. So, Pearl, takes John, like slams his face on a barrel, pulls out a knife, and he threatens to cut his throat open unless like Pearl tells him where's the money is, and he's like, "It's in the doll, it's in the doll," and he's like, "The doll, the last place anybody would expect to look." And John knocks out the light, puts a shelf on his head, and he's like, "Oh, like, ugh." He's got this sad look on his face, and then the kids run away, and then he runs up the stairs. That really iconic shot where he's running up the stairs like this, and then they slam the door on his fingers, and then they run outside, and he's still chasing them. And it's a really great chase scene, and they get on the boat, and he gets in the water. He's almost got to them, and then he has this scream, and it's such a, oh god, it brings chills up my spine every single time when he does that scream. Ugh. But it's got the great scene where they go up to the barn, and they're sleeping, and then you see the absolutely beautiful image of Robert Mitchum riding on the horse. John says, "Doesn't that man ever sleep?" And it's a great scene as well. The other scene is when he kills Shelley Winter's character, and like I said, if you haven't seen this movie, you probably shouldn't be watching it you probably shouldn't be watching this review right now, up to this point. When he kills Shelley Winter's character, it looks very much like a church setting, the way it's shot and stuff. When he takes the knife out and he does this, and then it cuts away, and then he's at the ice cream parlor. Now here's the thing: the woman at the ice cream parlor is all like, she's totally into it. She's totally into Robert Mitchum. Like, whatever he says, she'll agree with him immediately. It's awful. And Robert Mitchum's like, "Poor woman ran away began drinking, and I tried to stop her." And the woman's like, "Yes, we know." And she's like, and then he's like, "It ran off with some drummer," or something like that. And she's like, "Satan. Yeah, Satan did it." And the woman's like, "Yes, yes." And she's like constantly agreeing with him. And then you get this absolutely hauntingly beautiful shot of Shelley Winters in the car, inside Harry Powell's car, at the bottom of a lake. And her hair is just flowing, and there's silence. There's a little tiny bit of soft music playing. It's a hauntingly beautiful shot. A very good shot. Another great. I totally forgot to mention Lillian Gish, who's absolutely great in this film. She plays the woman with sort of. I don't know. I forgot what she did. Because I saw this like a week ago, so it's been a really long time. She ran like a house for children or a school or something, and she has a shotgun. So there's a scene where John and Pearl go up to her house and stay there, and Robert Mitchum follows them up there. So he walks up to the front porch, and Lillian Gish comes out, and he's like, and Robert Mitchum's like fake crying and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, those children, where are my poor little lambs?" And like, "Would you like to know the story of love and hate?" And there's this great where he's like, "And Brother Cain struck down, hate's down for the count." And so there's this great comment on YouTube when I was watching the scene. I saw it before I watched the movie, and the comment was when he's talking about the hate and love wrestling thing. You could tell Lillian Gish's face. Her bullshit meter goes off the roof. That's very true. But there's this part where he's like, where John Pearl appear, and John runs him underneath, and Lillian Gish goes back. Oh, John's like, "He ain't my dad," and Lillian Gish is like, "He ain't no preacher neither." Runs inside the house. John doves underneath the deck. Robert Mitchum pulls out his knife, is about to cut him up, and Lillian Gish comes out with a 20, it looks like a 20 gauge or a 12 gauge, comes out, sticks it on Robert Mitchum's back, and he's like, "You better get out of here." So he runs off, and he's like, "You whores of Babylon, Jehovah," or whatever. But then there's the hands down the greatest scene in the entire film, or at least the most iconic, and that's the scene where Lillian Gish is like on the patio. She's sitting in the rocking chair with the shotgun, and Robert Mitchum's sitting on the other side of sitting on a tree stump, and they're singing the song "Leaning on the Everlasting Arms." It's an absolutely beautiful sequence. Easily one of the best scenes ever put to film. And it's like leaning, leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms. It's such a great sequence, and it totally fits the mood of the film. And there's a scene where one of the girls comes down with a candle, and Robert Mitchum disappears, and she's like, "Go get the children out of bed." And there's a scene where owl swoops down, and like you hear it like takes a rabbit, and you hear the rabbit screeching, and Lillian Gish sort of talks to the audience. Or maybe you can answer this question, Aaron Pynn, since you're such a big fan of the film. When Lillian Gish like stares at the camera, is she like talking to the audience? Like when she stares at the camera and she's like, "It's such a hard world for little things." And but I think she's talking to the audience. But it's such a great movie, and Lillian Gish does a fantastic job. And yeah, let me show you the inside of my dad's DVD. Hunter. I'll show you here the booklet. I like that image. There's a picture of John. But such a great film. Such a great movie. And I also want to talk about the reasons why this film is a horror movie. It's a horror film because, and I actually read it in the 200 alternative horror film book, which I'm going to show you right now. If you're a fan of horror, you don't own this book, there's something wrong with you. It's an absolutely beautiful book. It's done by Rue Mork. Definitely pick it up. It's a great book. But anyway, so the reasons why this film is a horror movie is because it involves two children. Okay. They're involved with money. And Robert Mitchum pretty much is a monster in this film. He's pretty much a monster. And he's supposed to be the one who's like, he's chasing after these kids, and it's a horror movie because, let me read it from this book. Why this movie's a horror movie. Here we go. More often a staple of film noir lists and horror guides, Charles Laughton's haunting masterpiece is one of the most unsettling films in these pages. Murdered parents, religious zealotry gone brutally awry, children at the mercy of a remorseless monster. Call it a thriller if you want, but it sounds like classic horror to me. That's perfectly summed up right there. Perfectly summed up. And again, get this freaking book if you're a fan of horror. Please, do yourself a favor. This is such a great film. The back. Absolutely beautiful movie. A masterpiece. One of the best. Also, many people would like to compare this movie to Cape Fear. And Robert Mitchum does play a psychopath in both films. But what makes him different in this one is that he's not in Cape Fear. He's just a complete asshole to everyone, and he knows it. To the police, to the Bowden family. Whereas in this movie, he's an asshole, but only in front of the children and the mother. Everyone else, he's all like goody little priest and all that stuff. But he's an absolutely remorseless killer monster in this film. This movie's a masterpiece and easily has my pick for the best black and white film of all time. If you haven't seen this movie, do yourself a favor. Go out and buy it. Aaron Pynn, this movie review was for you. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a great film, and it deserves to be seen. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys later.